Welcome to our Smarter Engineering podcast. My friend Derek Welker here to join me for our show today. It's that time of the year, Derek.
It is. Rollouts are coming up.
They've dumped us with a 200-page PDF and said, go. It's always a daunting task to look at that and kind of see where we can go with the new release. We're about 30 days away from seeing it. What I hope to get out today is some of our top enhancements that kind of bubbled to the top that we both said, we got to talk about these things. But can you talk to everyone about how we're going to present this to our customers and the folks out there?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are actually changing up the style of our presentation this year. We're actually going to just release videos online. We're doing 18 videos over the course of 2 weeks. We're actually going to start October 2nd through November 2nd are going to be 2-week span of all those videos. So we're going to release between 1 or 2 videos a day. And then we're actually going to have happy hour launch events. So in the afternoon, depending on the location, the times are a little bit variant, but you and I, we are making a road trip all the way across New York, all the way across PA. So yeah, if you check down in the description, you will see where all those locations are going to be and where you can register for those events. And at those actual events, you guys are going to come in and we're going to talk a little bit more about that software. Kevin and I are going to be there and we're going to have those conversations. I'm going to show you a little bit, not too much, but yeah, I think the videos are going to be a big step in the right direction.
Drinks and SOLIDWORKS conversation. That should be fun.
It'll be, yeah, it's going to be the highlight of our nights for sure. So Kev, with going through all these 200 pages, right? What's the first thing that you want to point out as being an awesome enhancement or something that we need to talk about?
I did find that this has been a hard process to say, okay, here are the things I want to talk about. I'm kind of passionate about SOLIDWORKS and could talk about a lot of things for a long time. But the one that always I think about a lot for our customers is large assemblies and some of the things that we're capable of doing with large assemblies, and specifically in this case with LDR, Large Design Review. If you're not aware of Large Design Review, it's a way of opening the model to get the graphics loaded in so that you can quickly see what you need to see. You can measure, you can cross-section. I don't know how many times I've been at a customer and the boss comes up and says, hey, can you get this thing open? I got the customer here. And they sit there and the dial just spins
and spins, yeah.
So like, where's Large Design Review? Well, it's great for that. It's fantastic. But there's kind of two things that I want to talk about related to that. The first one is the graphics side of things. Large Design Review opens up the graphics part of the SOLIDWORKS model so that we can do the cross sections and so on. They've enhanced the graphics and the graphics boost. What they've really done is offloaded the calculations to the video card, and the cards are now going to take that effort on. There are some requirements as far as what version of the card, the NVIDIA products.
That's a huge thing, just in enhancing the graphics for Large Design Review. Because I know in the past, it would be a little bit shaky as you're rotating it, but it's not going to be like that anymore.
It skips frames, and we use assembly visualization to see kind of the number of triangles it can calculate to figure out when it's going to start skipping frames. Well, I think we're going to be better off with this because it's going to be able to calculate more faster. And when you spend all that money on a really high-end video card thinking that this thing is going to zoom, supposedly this thing's going to zoom now. It's going to take advantage of those. The second part of that is really LDR itself. LDR, the Large Design Review, is a graphics only. So like I said, section and measure. And it was from there, you had to open it up anyway. Well, now they've really given us a boost and made it useful. We can open things up in LDR. Then we can go into this new mode called Edit Mode. Edit Mode is going to load the planes, the axes. It's going to allow us to load sketches, and even better, I can put parts into the assembly. I can mate it up. I can change configurations, save the assembly, and the next time I open it up, all those edits are there, all while working in a graphics-only video type format. And we're going to be able to do a lot more better with LDR.
So you're telling me I don't have to fully resolve my assembly just to mate some components together?
Exactly.
That is awesome. That's huge. And speaking of these large assemblies, this is my first point where we're going to be talking about weldments. Right, so I go scrolling through the What's New page and I see that there's really not any big enhancements for Weldments. I'm like, okay. And then, we actually get some videos that SOLIDWORKS put together to show us some of these new enhancements so that we can show it to you guys. So then I see this Weldment structural system, and I open it up. I start watching it, and my jaw hits the floor. So what did I do? I ran over into your office. I'm like, Kev, have you seen this?
Yeah, and my reaction is, it's probably like Weldments the last 3 years. We've got one enhancement. Yeah, no big deal. What do you got?
So the Weldment structural system is a way where we don't need to use 3D sketches anymore to create our weldments. We can use edges. We can use surface edges. So in the example that we have, we create 50 to 100 weldment profiles in a matter of minutes, fully trimmed and everything. And we don't actually have to specify groups, right? In Weldments in the past, we had to create all these different groups on these different sections. Whereas this, I can create a weldment for one profile, but then I can just select the members that I want and just change the profiles on those. We don't actually have to go in, find the group, find the structural member that we're doing, and modify it like that. So I think that's going to be a huge thing. The speed is unbelievable. The fact that we can create them so quickly, but also it makes it so easy to modify. Anyone out there that's doing weldments it's a must.
I mean, groups are nice, but it takes some thought about trimming between groups. I mean, does this help us at all?
Yeah, absolutely. There's there's new functionality for trimming that makes it a little bit easier to do instead of actually having to go in and trim each and every single member. We can do it as kind of trim groups based on like corners. So it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, when you showed that to me, I was in shock that they've got so much enhancements in this particular release.
Yeah, and it wasn't even like they teased it at World, or it's not even in the what's new. It was a huge enhancement that just kind of got thrown in.
So they'll have to watch the video for that.
Yeah,
one,
they will have to watch the video, and trust me, your jaw will hit the floor for sure. So also talking about, fabrication, let's talk a little bit more about MBD, right? We're going to kind of transition a little bit.
MBD, what's that? What's the acronym?
So MBD stands for model-based definition, gotcha. And it's a way where we're kind of getting away from those 2D drawings. We're not going to call it drawingless because there still is a drawing. We're talking about 3D PDFs. It's really going more so on that model-centric idea for a company. So you're getting into the fact that your manufacturers can use SOLIDWORKS CAM to machine a part, right? So why do they need the drawing, right? Just give them the model that has all those annotations. But in the past, MBD did not have any functionality for sheet metal. There was no sheet metal. I mean, you could kind of do it, didn't really work, but they have now announced that sheet metal is fully supported in SOLIDWORKS 2019, including bend lines, bend tables, bounding box lines, all of those things. So everything as far as sheet metal is concerned, or any contract manufacturer looking to move to this or going to be receiving it, sheet metal supported, machining supported, any of your parts are supported in MBD.
Yeah, I would think, like you said, the contract manufacturers that are taking this data, we're talking these other companies developing these sheet metal parts, they can now hand it over to these contract manufacturers, and they'll know a little bit more how to use it, accept that PMI data. That's great.
Absolutely. And when we talk about bringing in these the MBD information and the video and the models, right? There's some new enhancements for e-drawings, right?
Yeah, surprisingly, right? E-drawings, one of the first products they ever had alongside SOLIDWORKS. I've been around long enough to know where that sits. It was originally a communication tool. Back in the early days when I said, you can send a solid model to someone in an email, there was like faces going crazy. But they continue to make some changes on this tool. It's been used as a viewer as of recently. They've started to add some of the file formats. Well, they added some more okay. Useful ones. The JT format, which is from Siemens NX, it's more of a graphics performance format that they use, almost like our e-drawings. Well, we've been able to open them in SOLIDWORKS. Now we can view them in e-drawings along with NX, Parasolid, and Solid Edge. So it continues to develop as a really robust viewer, which is going to help us on PDM because that's our viewer in PDM. Configurations. When you open up a part as a viewing mode in e-drawings, you used to have to publish an e-drawing to get the configurations in there. Now the configurations are automatically read. You can be able to pick from them and see what the configurations are. Again, making it a more useful viewer, that's important. This is the big one that I was kind of shocked by. We for years have been talking about eDrawings Standard and eDrawings Pro. And what they've done is they've taken every feature that they had that was specifically to eDrawings Pro, and it's now in Standard. Markup, measure, stamps, move, animations.
Wow, that's incredible.
All included. The idea is they're going to start to enhance the Pro version with other things. And the first installment of that is the HTML. They have a new export from eDrawings that's HTML only. No installation, no downloads, a really crisp, clean viewer that will run in HTML. And the number of times I've had customers say, I'd like to put my products on the website. Now I've got an HTML with an embedded eDrawings viewer that my customer can go ahead and pan, zoom, and rotate and perform professional functions on. So
all on the web.
All on the web. It's
so is this kind of like an eDrawings 2.0, we might want to call it, kind of like a relaunch? Are they?
Yeah, I think they're re-envisioning how it can be used. I think they started to do that with viewing, and now it's going a little further. So I'm excited that they're working on the technology. They changed the interface and all these things, and now it's stepping forward.
I think that's going to be a huge game changer, especially with eDrawings having the ability to do augmented reality. And, you know, from what you were telling me, is there's also some enhancements on that augmented reality or rendering side as well. You want to talk about that?
So Visualize is a tool that when it was given to us as part of the products, we were all amazed. It was able to accelerate the process and the time that it takes to render because it uses both CPU and GPU, a hybrid, as long as you have the proper video cards. And they've made a step forward with a new tool called the AI denoiser. It's a post-processing tool that is able to look at an unfinished image as it's rendering out in modes in Visualize and be able to remove that noise dynamically. Now, the great thing is it's a toggle, so you'll turn it on. But what you can expect from this is, let's say you had a rendering that would typically take 500 passes to get something decent. With the denoiser, it may only take 50.
So it's 10 times faster.
It certainly can be 10 times faster. It's going to look at that noise, and it's going to intelligently take that noise out of the unfinished image. It's going to be awesome to speed things up. I think Visualize just gets an A plus now with having that in there, and I don't think there's any renderer that we would compete with that's going to be anywhere near the time frame to create a quality image as you would expect there.
Right. And also, I believe it was enhanced in 2018, or that denoiser was available in some service packs of 2018 as well.
Yeah, they were so excited about the technology that they're like, we've got to get this thing out there. It really is a game changer. A rendering that could take 8 hours could be 2 hours now. It's changing the way we look at that thing.
That's awesome. I can't wait to see a little bit more on that and how quickly it does. I mean, 10 times faster. I love rendering, so that's gonna be a big one for sure.
Absolutely. What else you got for me?
So, I think one of the biggest enhancements in my perspective is 3D textures. But let's take a couple steps back. You know, in the previous years, SOLIDWORKS they have now the ability to import and work with mesh files. And this 3D texture kind of goes on that. So what you do for a 3D texture, just so we can kind of make sure everyone understands what that is you take a texture file that's typically like an alpha channel or a black and white image, and you can turn the colors, like the black colors or the white colors in that texture to actually be 3D. And so you can put knurling on your part. You can put dimples on. Some examples are like a golf ball, right? You take your golf ball, instead of trying to make all those little dimples all the way around, you just slap a texture on there, go 3D texture, and suck those in however far they are, and you have that.
So the image is black and white, and it uses...
Yeah, it's like a height map. You can actually find a lot of those on Google. But the reason why is in our traditional parametric modeling, we don't have the ability to kind of just take a an image and turn it into 3D, and that's where those meshes play in a part. So if we didn't have the ability to bring in and work with meshes, we wouldn't have this functionality. So we can go back a couple of years when they introduced the mesh functionality and say, it's because of that. Where we see this being really prominent, or this being very helpful, is on the printing world, right? Because for knurling for those parts, you just use a tool on the manufacturing end to put those knurls on. But if you actually need to print it, you need to have those on the model. So that's where these 3D textures really come into play.
Yeah, I guess it's good timing to have the graphics boost too, because now we put even more detail into our models.
That's true.
So we'll have to keep an eye on that, but that is
very true. And going back to your point for visualize, it also helps in that world as well. You utilizing these 3D textures to enhance your rendering capabilities as well. So it's not only for printers. We even have some customers, you can attest to this as well, where they need to show the finished part to their clients, even if they're not going to put that detail in their own part for manufacturing. So it's going to help on the rendering. It's going to help on just promoting your product, but it's also going to help in that prototype stage or 3D printing as well.
Absolutely. Wow, that's big.
All right, so we're kind of getting towards the end, but there's one more enhancement that I think you wanted to talk about. What's going on there?
Yeah, and I don't think it fits every customer, but I seem to be running it more and more that a lot of the products, even the equipment that we're making, is being communicated to somebody in the architectural world. So the whole idea of BIM modeling, they kind of have a different format and way they communicate data. And previously we'd use a format, either an ASIS format, or we did jump on board a few years back with IFC, Industry Foundation Classes, which is developed by a third-party alliance as a standard communication. But customers are still saying, Revit. They're all using Revit. How do I communicate with Revit? So in 2019, we are going to be able to do the Save As AEC for the Revit family RFA format directly to them. This will allow us to export the property information, which is something that the IFC was able to do, but IFC is still a translation.
Okay.
The RFA is a direct pull into Revit and use, and I think our customers are going to be able to communicate a lot easier. You think of some of the skid piping work that our customers are doing, or even assembly equipment where they're putting in a layout of a plant, or those types of things. I think it'll really help that communication a lot.
Yeah, I know within the last 5-6 years that I've been here with CADimensions, I've heard Revit a lot. So, I think this is something that's been in the making for a little bit, but I think it's a really big enhancement. Like you said, it's not going to fit everyone, but it is pretty big. And kind of to close this off, a lot of these questions that we get is, where did this enhancement come from? Or, what spawned this? There's actually a new enhancement in 2019 that I think is kind of worth pointing out because it's kind of interesting as well. The rollback bar. Do you know how difficult it was to grab that rollback bar and drag up and down? It was a pain in the butt. One of our customers, Devin Hamilton, which I don't know if you guys have seen the video that our coworker Jesse did with Devin a little while ago. He has cerebral palsy, and he uses an eye tracker to do this. So for him, it was really, really difficult to grab that rollback bar, even more difficult than we have when we can use our hands. And he sent an enhancement request into SOLIDWORKS and said, "Hey guys, can you just make that a little bit bigger?" And within 20 minutes, they had it fixed and they were ready to go. So, it's not that you have to have these grand ideas when it comes to enhancement requests. It can be something really small, but they do come from the customers. And that one is specifically in point to one of our customers as well. So I think, if you guys are out there looking and, saying, oh, well, if I submit something, it's never going to work. You got to try. I think it's beneficial to throw some of these.
Do yourself a favor and put it in. You just never know. There might be enough people like you that need that or want that, and all these little things will get fixed over time.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
So, our videos are going to be coming out shortly. Like I said, the 2-week release frame. So if there's one tease functionality that is your favorite that you don't want to give up, but you want to say people look for, what is it?
I think because I spend so much time in PDM and manage, it has to do with markups. I think we've never had a great mechanism to mark up models and drawings. E-drawings is nice, but the way it stored the data, 2019 allows us to use pen and touch for literally pen type markups on a drawing, what typically would be done on a paper drawing on the shop floor. I envision shop floor manufacturing grabbing a tablet, marking something up, and saving it directly in the solid model. So much easier with their own writing. Not having to use these mechanical methods to do that when it's more cross this out, write this number, do these. It's just more natural. Great enhancement. You got to see the video on that one.
Okay. And my favorite enhancement, I think, is a little bit more for our contract manufacturers. Sheet metal now has the tab and slot functionality. That's going to be a huge game changer for how they put these things together and weld them up. So no more trying to hold them up in the right place, getting a couple guys. That tab and slot's going to be a great addition. So stay tuned for that.
Self-fixturing stuff.
Fixturing, yep.
So, there's a little bit of a tease. We've got videos coming. There's a lot more to go through. Hopefully you'll join us on our sessions in each of the office. Come have a drink with us and talk about what's going on in SOLIDWORKS a little more closely. And wow.
It's a good release. There's a lot of big things, and hopefully you guys see us at some of these events, or if not, at least check out the videos, because there's a lot of really good things.
Awesome. Thanks, Derek.
Yeah,
thanks friends. And we'll see you at the next one.
See ya.